All right. So a big week for us this week. A couple of things here that make it really important for us. It is an opportunity for us to show how much we've grown up and matured from last year. Last year we followed up some really good wins with some really disappointing losses and not playing very well. This is an opportunity for us to kind of show a little bit of maturity and handle playing well better than we did last year. So that'll give us an opportunity to kind of focus these guys in and make sure that we're seeing this thing the right way. Number two, defensively, we've talked extensively about how we want to stop the run. Well, this team is going to run the football. They're going to challenge us. They're going to challenge us physically. They're going to challenge our eye discipline. And certainly they're going to challenge our tackling. So this is a huge game for us. You watched their game last week against UTSA, and that was a dogfight. And that's a program that I absolutely respect. So this is a good football team. They've got a veteran team, a lot of experience back on both sides of the ball. We know what that means. We know that's an advantage, but so do we. So for us, it's a game we're looking forward to. I'm excited because I want to see more growth in our football team, and that's an area that we needed to grow and improve. So we'll get a chance to see that on Saturday.
Schematically, anything like Jackson State was in the bowl game, or when you talk about their running, what is it like?
Not really. They're in a lot of heavy sets. Now they do have a lot of option elements to it, but it's a lot of zone read options and things like that. They'll do some power read and stuff like that. But I guess it's a similar school of thought, but it's a little different the way that they do it. They've got a good plan. I mean, they're going to have. They've got good skill players, and they're going to get them in space, and they're going to do some things. Their quarterback really makes it go. He's a fun player to watch. He is tough as nails. He runs the ball really well, makes good decisions in the option game, and then he had a pretty good game throwing it too against UTSA. So they're going to. When you play an option team, they challenge your discipline, your eye discipline and your alignment and your assignment and communication. So this team, they're going to challenge it in a bunch of different ways.
You talk about the running game, talk about their running game. You have 3 or 4 good backs you can rotate into the games coming into Kennesaw. How do you plan on using them? Are you going to have maybe a bell cow back, or how are you going to use them?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to use them like we always do. Typically kind of what we did last game was Draylon and Bill would start the series, and Zylan Perry would tap them whenever they needed a break. We adjust that week to week based off of play. So we'll go through this week and kind of figure it out. But all 3 are going to play. If you get a hot hand, certain situations we use some guys more than others. Whether that be throwing situations, different kind of formational thoughts that we have, or field zone areas. So we'll continue using the same way we do. But all 3 are always important in our game plan for sure.
Not overlooking people. It's one thing to say, but to actually do it. Is that about the leaders, or is that about the coaches?
Well, I think it's about everything. It's about everybody. Look, we shouldn't overlook anyone. And that's we're until we prove otherwise, we're a 6-7 football team. And we haven't done crap to do it otherwise. We've won 1 game this year. So if we want to be looked at differently, then we're going to have a different type of season. So for us, I'm telling you right now, if anyone in our building is overlooking this football team, then we got some real issues. Because you turn on the tape, we've played UTSA. We've seen what it looks like. We know the type of football they play. It was a 1-possession game. I want to say there was 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had a turnover, and they scored to go up 28-16. All right, so this is a good football team. They've got a lot of guys back. They look like a really good group of 5 football team. They got guys that run around, they strike, they play physical. So overlooking anyone is not going to happen. For us, we got a lot of work to do on us, and that's where it's got to start.
What did the lack of knowledge of Grambling, in what areas when you saw the film, in what ways were they able to attack you or defend you maybe a little better because of that?
Yeah, it's some of the nuances and things, and some of the run game stuff, their alignments are a little bit different than the scouted looks that you had. But we get a lot of reps against our defense, and they get a lot against our offense, and we get a lot of different looks. We're pretty multiple on both sides, so there's no excuse. We had that game plan designed where we felt like, hey, if we didn't have any looks that we gave them, if we told them, hey, we have no idea what they're going to do, we ought to be able to go out there and execute. And that was the plan. You know, they did play a little bit different coverage than we thought, you know, than what he had in the past. We knew it was possible because when he was at Southern as the interim head coach, they did some middle open coverage and some quarters and stuff, and that showed up a little bit. So we knew it was possible. It wasn't really what we planned for. But again, I mean, when you play a team like that, you go into it and you say, all right, you know, you got to be able to make anything you're running fit, whatever they're going to do. And so there are some things that kind of, as the week went on, we cut out because it was like, wow, this is probably a little more specific than really what we want to be. So we kind of narrowed down the game plan and went about it that way. I think defensively, you know, I think their personnel was pretty good, you know, on offense. You know, their offensive line, we knew they had a bunch of transfers. We didn't know a whole lot about them. You know, running back played really well. Quarterback he was there. We knew he was a good player. I thought he was better than even I thought going into it. I mean, I think they have a really good football team. And I thought it was a good football game. There wasn't a bunch of penalties. It wasn't sloppy. There wasn't a bunch of, you know, stuff going on after the play. And, you know, I mean, the biggest thing, though, is that when you go into a game like that week one, it's got to be calls that your guys are comfortable with. Doesn't matter what they show up in. Doesn't matter what they play. It's got to be things that it's hang your hat plays that, hey, we've run this a million times. No matter what shows up, we can handle it. So you always feel a lot better when you feel like you know what they're going to do, but it's just the way it is. I mean, they felt the same way. I mean, they didn't know what Jim was going to, you know, they didn't know what his plan was going to be either. So they had to kind of deal with it too. That's just the nature of it.
Going back, how was the communication with Jim and the guys on the defensive side?
So I told him, you know, whenever we met Sunday, you know, I thought it was excellent. You know, I thought they communicated really effectively. It was a calm presence on the headsets. Everybody was doing their job. The guys that were supposed to be speaking, you know, about whatever we're looking at, right? Not getting the specifics of it. We're doing a really good job. They were communicating clearly. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody was watching the right stuff. You know, and then Jim, you know, you guys have talked to him. He's got a presence. You know, he stays calm. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get up and down. He did a really good job. You know, he kept it about what was important. Our staff did a really good job. Even when we didn't have a great series, we got back to the side. We talked about what we could do the next series that was going to help. So the presence on the headset, I think, was really good. You know, you can tell when there's any kind of friction or panic or anything like that, it rolls downhill a little bit. And our defensive staff did a really good job of keeping their composure, keeping our kids locked in on what we were going to do to get results instead of, you know, what had happened. I mean, look, you know, you can tear them up and down about what has happened, but it's not going to fix what's coming. So you got to correct what happened, talk about what you can do to make it different next time. And I thought they did a really good job of staying focused on what was coming.
Speaking of communication, how was that in-helmet communication? As you guys kind of huddled a little bit more, that's something you think will continue moving forward. Just how was that experience?
Well, we've been practicing with it. You know, we got them in whenever we started fall camp, so we've been working with it. You know, there's a whole deal within college football that's been going on for a long time as far as signal stealing goes, and for us, it just allows us to eliminate signals. And you know, we've played some teams that have, you know, done it extensively. You know, and you could tell some of it, you know, maybe within the rules, some of it maybe not. But now it just eliminates all that. So for us, it was really good. It was smooth. I do wish that they would get rid of the beeping that goes on at 15 seconds whenever it cuts off. It's pretty annoying, but you know, that I guess that's just part of it. So, but no, it was good. The communication was really good. We have a plan for when they don't work. You know, we're going to be able to operate anyway. I'm expecting that to happen more than once this year. Just, you know, by the nature of the way things work, it's going to go wrong at some point. But no, it was good. It was smooth. I mean, we practiced with it all fall camp. We've practiced with and without the headset communication. So luckily everything went as planned.
You mentioned on Saturday y'all were a little banged up. How did that come out a couple of days later?
Yeah, I think we're a little better off than I thought. You know, kind of still waiting on Jax. He got banged up a little bit, so kind of waiting to see. He's kind of, you know, like I said, I don't know if you'd say, I use the term hopeful sometimes, but we don't really know. You know, we'll kind of figure out by tomorrow. he'll be a little closer to practice time. Rhett Guidry will probably be out this week. But everybody else, I think we should be good to go.
How much does the preparation change when you have a week of film? It's still not a lot, but you have something versus what we talked about Grambling, where you just really were kind of going blind into it.
I always lean a little heavier on what they've done this year, than in the past. I do think that, you hope that it's the same, and that way all the film and the work that you've done already matches up. But that's kind of what you're trying to do, is you're trying to confirm, hey, like, is this still kind of what they're doing? And so Kennesaw State, they got a new play caller on defense, but he was there for a while. So we were hoping that, we had stuff from whenever he called it past at his previous places, but that was a long time ago. So we're kind of hoping that it would still look the same. And some of it is certainly as a play caller, you've got your own nuances. You like certain things in certain times. And, that's what we got to try to figure out. But a lot of it structurally is the same. So it helps when it's like that. Offensively, it's the same thing. You kind of confirming that the things that they did, you never know. They could have came out and been 4 or 5 wide and thrown it every snap. There's no rule against it. So you're trying to confirm that what you worked on already is still the case. And then you still have to adjust to curveballs, because everyone's got an off season. Everyone does self-scout. Everyone does off-season studies where you're watching other teams, trying to grab ideas, trying to pull things into your offense or your defense that fit. So usually through the first 4, 5, 6 games of the year, you're getting a few wrinkles that you didn't have. But every week you've got a little bit more evidence of what they are now. So it's a little better.
After watching the game, any different thoughts on the running game and the ups and downs?
Yeah, we just didn't play with very good pad level in the first half. We the second half we came in. It was a directive. Like, we are going to run the football in the second half. So, get your stuff together, right? Get your mind right and get ready to go. This is what we have to do. Now, and I'll say this, like, you go back and watch it, we threw it a lot in the first half because they were loading the box. We have good players on the perimeter. We're not going to run into bad boxes, I'm not living in that world anymore. We've done that for too long. So, that's a lot of what we've done this year, is saying, all right, like, we're not doing this anymore. We got good players. We got experience. We're going to let our 7th-year quarterback make good decisions and get the ball where it needs to go. And so a lot of the first half was that. When we got a good lead, they started to kind of lighten the box a little bit, which helped. So we were able to run it more. But we ran it better in the second half, and it's because we did those things. We were running off the ball with pad level. Low man wins, hands inside win, strain wins. And when you don't do all 3 of those things, well, you might not win, right? You play high, you have your hands outside, and you're not straining to the end. You might not win. I think their front did a good job. Going back and watching, I think Grambling, I think their defensive line did a good job. They strained, they competed. But we needed to run the football better, and we did in the second half. And that's just got to be the standard, though. When we get boxes to run the football in, when we get the looks that we want to run into, we've got to run it effectively. And, I thought we did a better job in the second half, but they were challenged in halftime that it needed to be better than what it was. And fortunately, they answered the call. And, that's just, it's just something we got to do a little better. A couple things they did, too. In the first half, their backers were playing tighter, and they were triggering, and they were doing some things that, they had a good plan too. So once we kind of got it figured out, I thought we played better though.